I've come to warn you folks, there's a new sheriff in town, only this time it's Marshall. Today, here on the Motherboards.org YouTube channel, we're featuring an unboxing of an exclusive product. This is the new MSI Big Bang Marshall motherboard. Now the Marshall is the badass of the badass motherboards from MSI. It's the flagship P67 motherboard that's aimed towards gamers. Now, one of the great things about this board is a great size of the board. It actually features an extended ATX board which spreads out all the parts across it, makes it run a little bit cooler, and makes all your real estate very accessible. Now, we're going to do the unboxing today, show you a few of the features, then we'll do the review later on. But for today, let's check out the new Marshall in town and see what comes in the box. You can see they've offered new packaging in the new MSI Big Bang Marshall. It's a very large box, very heavy, got it clearly marked as the Marshall across the bottom. Ours was a probably early sample, so right here we've got a little tag on top. It's marked with actually who tested the motherboard. Go ahead and pop it. Go ahead and aim it towards you guys so you can see it. Inside the box there are two individual boxes. One will contain the motherboard and one will contain the accessories. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the first one, and the first one's the motherboard. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. Let's move on and take a look and see what all the accessories are. And there's also a big quick guide. Let me get this out here for you folks to see. There's a quick guide, reference guide. This all opens up and everything so you guys can all see all the features of everything on the board. On this side, I'll back it up a little bit. And I'm going to flip it around to the other side just so you guys can see this. Shows everything in great detail. Even a blind man can almost see this. I'm going to go ahead, come over here, get the camera to reset up again. He hates when I do this, but I have no choice. We're going to go ahead and open this box up. Right off the bat, we're going to see that there's two USB 3.0 brackets. Now, we're going to talk about this a little later. These things pop right into motherboard, and you actually get a total of 12 USB 3.0 ports on the board. 8 on the rear I/O, 4 more by these brackets. Go ahead and pull this little stuff out over here, get this out of the way. There's also something really neat off the bat here. This is called the OC dashboard, the Big Bang OC dashboard. Now what this does, this plugs into your rear I/O and it lets you monitor and adjust your overclocking by it. Don't have much actual knowledge about it, but it's in here. We'll check it out in the full review. Moving on. We've got some little things right here that make it easy to adjust your motherboard. When you plug these in, you can do some adjustments. Right here are your easy plugs for taking all your case wires and everything else and plugging them into your system. We've got some standard Molex into your SATA right here. And then we have one SATA 6 gigabit cable right in this little package. And actually over here, we have another one of those. So we've got two of those so far. Taking a look here. Let me open this up. I don't know exactly what this is yet. I'll figure it out. This is a cable that's obviously going to connect some type of bracket to something else in the motherboard. Oh, actually, you know what? Yes, this is the bracket that actually connects to this overclocking dashboard. So this cable goes to the overclocking dashboard. Whew, glad I figured that one out quick. You guys would have kicked my butt like you always do when I make a mistake. All right, then we've also got a little rear I/O little bracket thing here. Interesting. We move around. We get the MSI drivers and CD manual. The Big Bang Fusion installation guide. You also get a free copy of 3D Mark, and I can actually show it to you because it's a scratch and sniff thing right here. So until you scratch it, you can't sniff it. But here this is. This is actually like a $19 market retail value. They give it to you free. That way you can check out your specs on your board and how it runs. Got a little Big Bang guide here. This right here is the main user's guide. And this little quick round here is the overclocking guide for the Big Bang Marshall. This actually explains all the overclocking features and different things that you can do with the motherboard in this little guide. So we'll move on, we'll take a look at the motherboard itself. So as you guys know, the very first motherboards that came out of P67, they had a driver issue with SATA, and all these second gen boards, that has been completely corrected. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. As I mentioned earlier, you can see this is an extended ATX motherboard. It's much bigger than other motherboards that you'll see. All around the ZIF socket up here, plenty of room. They use all low C caps. They use all of the high ferrite stuff, which makes the motherboard run much better. Like all of these things are made in like Japan out of high quality stuff, and like these kind of capacitors right here have a tendency to blow, but when they use these low types right there, they don't blow up at all because they don't have any type of liquid inside of them. Actually makes the board much more stable. You can see they've included all this stuff around here for keeping anything on the North Bridge nice and cool. Then they also include 8 different slots for your GPUs. Now you can use a different combination. You can use either a Crossfire combination, or you can use 3 cards by NVIDIA. Also, one thing I'll just bop around over here. They actually have 2 of the 8-pin power connectors offering up to 240 watts of power right here. So that way you can have additional power for powering all of this video that's on board. Pretty neat stuff. Over here, here are the 2 connectors that we talked about that go out to those 2 USB things that go to the back. We've got the SATA 6 gigabit controllers on here. We have actually 2 by Intel and 2 by Marvel. A lot of people don't know this, but any board previously that had the Marvel controllers, you could have just plugged your hard drive directly into that, eliminated any problems that you had on the board. Board also features X-Fi. X-Fi is one of the things from Sound Blaster. It offers really good sound, and it features EAX 4.0 technology. The OC Genie, this is one of the great things about the motherboard. You can just click the OC Genie. It automatically instantly overclocks your motherboard. So if you're a beginner, you don't have much overclocking experience, but you'd still like to try to learn about overclocking, you can go ahead and push that button. There's also 3 BIOS chips on this motherboard. So you have a chance to switch between 2 of them, and there's actually a 3rd one in case one burns out. You also get your on and off switches right here on the board. The motherboard features up to 32 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. Currently, you can only get 4 gigabyte chips, but there'll be 8 gigabyte chips coming out later this year. Here's the 24-pin power. And one thing I didn't skip over real quick is these little switches right here. These switches right here allow you to turn off the different lanes on your PCI slots. So say that you have some video cards right here and they're in crossfire mode and you want to take one of those cards out, you can actually switch off that channel to remove the video card without burning out the board. We're going to flip it over to the rear I/O just to show you the rear I/O. Got lots of stuff here. You can see there's 8 USB 3.0 ports on the board, and with those other ones you get a total of 12. The NICs on board are brought to you by Realtek, and they feature shotgun technology, which means they both send and receive with no degradation of signal. The audio, as we talked about before, you have both your standard analog, your digital SPDIF, and your coaxial. So pretty fleshed out rear I/O. Right here is a little reset button. It's actually inclined a little bit. I'll try to move that up a little closer to the camera so you guys can see it. And that's the reset button that's on the rear I/O so that you can reset the CMOS on the motherboard. So hey, thanks a lot for watching. Today we brought you the unboxing of the new MSI Big Bang Marshall. Remember, there's a new sheriff in town and he's a Marshal.